Hello and welcome back to the TRF podcast. My name is Olugbenga Ogunleye, your host. This is our second episode on the series, Changing Careers and Starting Again. May I add starting all over again? Yeah. I'm joined again by panelists in the first episode. They're still here. They've had a little break and they've had some drinks and they are revitalized to go for another marathon, if I may say that. I'm joined by Iretunde. Hi, Iretunde. Welcome back.
Hi, everyone.
Nathaniel.
Thank you.
And John Ayeni.
Thank you.
Yeah, so if you remember or if you watch our first episode, we left it at where John was talking about what now? Immigration?
Fear of the unknown.
Fear of the unknown. Thank you very much. So fear of the unknown, and John will continue, but he would just have to. I would like him to add a few bits about the unknown in terms of leaving country A to country B.
Okay.
If he has a personal experience of that, I'd like him to add it.
Okay. Yeah. So, like I said, fear of the unknown means that basically, for me, I'll just put it as you are fearful because you do not know what to expect, and what would counter that is gaining knowledge, at least to a great extent. Of course, we've talked about spiritual knowledge, knowing God's will, in the first episode, where we said, if you know what God is saying to you to take a step, you then take it in faith and you let the Lord lead. But the other aspect is also doing research. Like you said, if you're moving from country A to country B, the question is you've spent maybe 30 years or 20 years, 15 years, 10 years in country A. So practically, you know how the country works in and out. You know, if you want to get from say point A to point B, you want to go to school, you understand the school system, you understand that. So if I'm going to a new country, you also want to know what those things are as much as you can find online. And then thankfully we are grateful for the internet in a sense. You can get some of these materials, you can watch videos, you can get people's reviews, not just the negative reviews, because there are always a lot of negative reviews. You want to get balanced reviews, so get balanced reviews, get the positive, get the negative, pick the ones that you want to pick the lessons that you want to pick. So for me, when it was time to leave my country, Nigeria, I had two options in my mind. I wanted to go to Germany and I wanted to go, and then the UK, basically. And so one of the things I did was do a lot of research as to what was obtainable in Germany, what was obtainable in the UK, language spoken. When I mean language spoken, I knew it was English and German, but I wanted to know what was it like learning, like getting adjusted to learning German compared to I'm already coming from an English-speaking country. I could easily just flow into this economy. So if I'm going into this other one, what would it take me? How long would it take me to learn German and all the like? So those kind of research became key for me, in terms of even because I wanted to do a master's, in terms of the course content, I had to check what do they have in Germany different from what they had in the UK. So that helped me make my decision. And I think the peg on it was now financial again. Going to Germany was a lot cheaper compared to coming to the UK. So I was like, let me just go this money let me just move to Germany. But then I spoke to someone who said the last straw was now. He asked me a question, John, if you go to Germany and if you come to the UK, where would you find a spiritual community that will help your life? That was the question that kind of just made the UK okay for me, because you
didn't know the answer.
I knew the answer because I had someone that we had spent a year together and I could talk about his spiritual life, and he was in the UK. Yes. So I knew that if I was coming to the UK, I was meeting up with a friend that spiritually we could grow together.
You just didn't find out. You might have someone in Germany.
No, I did. I reached out. As a matter of fact, the school I was to attend, I reached out to previous Nigerians that attended the school. I had some calls with them over WhatsApp and I think LinkedIn, and we talked, and they explained to me what the situations was like even within the school, in terms of the Christian community, the churches that were available and all the likes. I asked all of those questions. So that kind of made it easier for me to now hear God. That's where I want to go. It wasn't like God was not speaking. giving direction, even though I was torn between two places. But because I also do not have some other factual knowledge, it was now difficult. It was being clouded, basically. I was just like, what is God actually saying? But getting those kind of information made it clear to understand that this is where God will have you be at this point. Because those things pointed somewhere to a certain direction that I wanted to go to for myself.
I had God in it.
So, and he had God in it. I was like, okay, let's go. And so coming has been really fantastic, even with the Christian community alone. I could talk about that.
I mean, he's here on the podcast, so which other evidence do we have to show that? It's been fantastic?
So it's been really, so that alone made it worth it. So
all right, that's a fantastic angle to look at it from. But there was not really so much of a fear of the unknown because we were just coming to study. I imagine some other people who wanted to relocate for economic greener pastures, for instance, would have had to deal with a bigger fear of the unknown, in the sense of you are employed in Nigeria, you're earning your salary, it doesn't fail, and then you're going to a place where you don't know what's happening there. And I don't know if you agree with me, when I was in Nigeria, everyone I spoke to that was living here always used one sentence. Can you guys tell that sentence? It's not easy.
That's right. I thought you were going to say that.
Everyone always said, it's not easy. Like, so hearing is not easy from every single person. And then you still venturing out to say, you know what, I'll still go and face that. It's not easy by myself. It's a big risk. So there's a fear of the unknown is bigger for people who are not trying to migrate just for academic. If you're a student, you know you can do your masters and you go back.
Okay, maybe because I didn't go into details. Interestingly, I was working and I was earning really comfortable.
Thank you.
Very, very comfortable for where I was at that point. And interestingly, I just even moved up to a role that was paying me higher, 6 months into a role that was paying me higher than the role. So, and I decided this was the next level. And then I'd gotten a master's in Nigeria, a master's admission, in Nigeria, that was in a school, Nigerian Defense Academy, one of the top schools in Nigeria.
Really?
And I was supposed to do a master's there. A lot of factors basically was there for me to stay back, and for us to stay back, not just myself, my wife too. I just gotten into a job that she was enjoying. So our movement was basically because we knew God was saying move.
Okay.
So, and then coming to where he says not easy is that when we spoke to people, same thing, people were like, John, it's not funny, it's not easy. I had someone that had gone to the US and all she was telling me was, bros, if you do this thing, sorry, let me not go vernacular. If you do this, just understand that you need to shade off the mindset of what you knew in Nigeria. Just take off all your, I'm settled, I kind of settled and all that as a young couple. So yeah, we got all those contexts. But where I go to again is that knowledge fueled a lot. I'm not saying it took away all of our fears, but it took away a huge part of the fear. So when we were, and then it helped us plan. Again, I knew I was coming in, I was going to get 20 working hours. I wasn't going to get a full-time working hours. You weren't
surprised?
I wasn't surprised at all those things. I was able to judge, okay, I even did, I think, a rough estimate. How much can I, and what's the max amount I could earn on my 20 hours?
All right.
So
brilliant.
Those are the things that I'm saying. You can do that, then to now sit down and ask yourself, do I still want to go on?
Brilliant. And then your answer was yes in your own case.
Yeah, in my own case. It was yes.
Obviously, you wouldn't have been here if the answer wasn't a yes. All right. I like that. Okay, you want to have it? All right.
Can I just add to that? Again, that is just, when scripture talks about the fact that if a man wants to build a castle, he has to sit down to count the cost. That just corroborates what you just said now, that although information, we cannot be naive. I mean, and we shouldn't be over spiritual as well. That as much as, even if God is saying, I want you to move, but you have to do your own homework as well to seek information. We've got seek relevant information. You're taking a new step. You're going to do that. Seek relevant information from people who have done what you're about to do. It just makes things easier. It definitely helps.
Okay, so my reaction to what you've just said now is a bit different.
Okay.
Because I think John's example is quite straightforward because he was sure God has led him to do that. What if he hasn't put that decision up into to God? He's just used his intelligence, information around him, and that'll bring up a question I like to also ask you. So if there's a certain person, by the way, I think I have someone that fits that this question fits. I hope he's not listening, he's not watching this one. Yeah, because there's someone that the question though is that if there is someone who is well settled, say in a place or in Nigeria or somewhere, he has a particular lifestyle because of what he earns, maybe he has a driver, he's on a pedestal. And then there's a chance that if he moves to a different place or a different country or something, there's a chance that it can be more prosperous. But he doesn't want to risk going for that jump just because he doesn't want to let down the family that he has, the kind of treatment, truth that he gives to them, right? And is by that cage himself in or herself in that particular place. I actually have someone who I figure is really brilliant, right? Can be more than what he is right there, but the fear of he's been afraid of starting his own business, and that's another kind of change.
Yeah.
He's brilliant enough to start to be his own boss. But when I asked him, I was like, so what? I said, Bengi, I'm afraid because I have this is my children. I'm afraid that what if I get in there and the inflow isn't coming in? You know, the kind of life they are used to, they can't get it again. So that kind of fear has kept him to be an employee, not an employer. The last time I checked, he's an employee. But I know I can. We did things together, so I actually know that he's really, really good. But that's just my question. Like, in your own case, you left it to God to kind of direct you. But in this person I'm trying to paint now, he's not so much of a Christian. But if he has things inside of him that can make money for him. So if he's the one now thinking and saying, you know what, I'm going to go out this way, I'm going to spread out that way, for instance, would you say, would you have a problem with whatever it is that he's trying to do? Really?
Okay. Let me try to answer or try to give an insight into that. So I feel that whoever it is in particular, right, might actually need a driver. He might not be somebody who is driven by himself. I'll use that word. I'm using it like, how do I call it? With some sense of humility, right? That it's not like he's not driven because he's successful where he's working on, right? So definitely there's some level of drive in him. However, in order for him to move into this place where you feel that he could do better, he might need something extra to move him into it. And he's not gotten that yet. That might not come from him. That might need to come from an external source. You get? So if he has some form of partnership with friends or colleagues or somebody who might have that level of, what do we call it now? That is able to move in that sense. Because being an entrepreneur, because I'm perceiving that that's what you're probably thinking that he could do better in. There are people who are able to do that better than some others. So he might need somebody who will pull him and take him to where he needs to be. Because right now you feel that he's not optimizing what he's got. So he's got talent, but he's not optimizing it. So he needs somebody who's able to, who's going to pull him. So he just needs some kind of network. And I think that's one of the things that is also important when you consider what we are talking about right now. We need the network of people. Moving into a new space requires people. And that's important because those people who have gone ahead have certain knowledge, have certain, what do we call it now? Know-how of how it works out there. And they might be able to pull us. So if you're coming into a new space, you need people. And it's important to not belittle the place of people in our lives. We might not be able to do certain things all by ourselves. We need people. Is that you're moving into a new country, you need a place to stay. You're moving into a new country, you're going to need, okay, fine, you need to start up, for instance. Okay, fine, I'm going to take this, for instance. I'm going to take the job space. So there are times whereby you need to move into a space and you might not start with the job that you know. But then
that you know.
So you need to take on, so you need to be willing to take on those available jobs in order for you to be able to build
Just
capacity.
so you are not idle.
You understand? So you're not idle, and then to be able to build and then carry your family ahead, that kind of thing. So that's what I think.
Yeah, to add to what he said for the other person, again, we are not all blessed to maybe have come to the knowledge of the Lord, like for all of us at least on this panel. Some people will still get to know him tomorrow, next tomorrow, and all the likes. But irrespective of that, there are things that the Bible calls people with, is it by nature? People do. There's a part in the New Testament, it says, when people of old by nature do fulfill the requirements of the law. So you looking at natural things, they fulfill the requirements of the law. Where I'm going with that is, I have the skill, like you said, the person now has the skill. He's got all the knowledge. You've done certifications. I want to believe you are now like a boss in your field, and you feel like this is the next part to take. He also feels that way, but he's scared. I would advise, why not take it gradually? And it's general for everybody. I tell people that wants to change career, if you tell me you want to go into this aspect, sometimes some people will say, I want to go into tech. Okay, what aspect of tech? You want to go into, say, web development. Take an introductory course. Do you enjoy it?
Okay.
If you do not enjoy it for the next 2 weeks, don't be afraid to do a course, dump it and go away.
Right.
That's the thing. If I just take it and I do not enjoy it, dump it, move to the next. I'll share another example with this. Someone said, oh, I want to do tech. And I said, okay, fine. Based on how we talk, you can try product management. Go a product management course for her. Take the product management course. She started, just, how did you find it? It's okay. I'm kind of trying to think where I can apply it and all the like. So I left it for about 2-3 months. I didn't say anything. So because I kind of know her as a person, I now said, okay. I now got a course in something else, speech therapy. And I sent, okay, take this course, do it. Paid course. This one was a paid course. She paid for it. And after the first introductory course, she applied 2 jobs.
So she had interest in that one.
That's just to tell you where the interest lies. It was just, I don't know what she has heard in the product management. Maybe, we have conversation with people every day, and somebody has told you, product management is good, money and all the likes, and then you can work from home. All those flexibilities basically. But the point was, that was not the interest. So where I'm going with that is, for this person now, I could say, like now take a step back in terms of, if you're like in a managerial role where you know that you don't have time, in terms of starting your own thing, do you want to go down and take a lower job like an officer role that gives you a bit of more time because you're an expert, and then by the side you're starting your own thing and you're building it gradually before you finally pull the plugs and then you move into your own space? That could be what works, because you still want to, yes, you've been used to this lifestyle, you've been going this lifestyle, you want to still be maintaining. So you want to say, do I want to go to a lower role that gives me a bit of time to build this thing and go up? So that's also a way of change. Sometimes change is not as drastic as we want it to be. It could be.
Otherwise, fingers can get burned.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's what he was afraid of.
So it could take that approach rather than just start. And if you can still do it with the current role too, if you can start something on the side, start something, or maybe do partnership, like you said, with somebody where the other person is the lead, like going to do all the meetings, you are the technical person behind and all the like. So
Brilliant. Thanks very much. All right, just in 10 seconds.
10 seconds. Wow.
10 seconds.
That, it's again the last thing you said, that whilst doing, you don't have to quit your job immediately and then start running a business. You can start on the side, start running little, but on a small scale, and then because you need capital anyway and a number of other resources, and then build that up from the ground. And when you see it's big enough that this thing can now sustain me, you can then, of course, maybe quit your 9 to 5. And networking as well, to find a network of people who have done what you're doing already. Right network is important.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. I think the other thing I want us to talk about very quickly also is that term they call disruption. Disrupt. Yeah, you already know where I'm going to now, because I think I mentioned at the beginning that can change be first. I recall back in the day when you used to have a camera to go for any event, there was a particular camera, but now everyone has a smartphone that even the megapixels are competing with some cameras on the shelf, if I'm right. So really, things happen, change happens. Competition just comes from here and there. Imagine camera sector and mobile telephone sector. Just imagine that kind of. You would have imagined that you can have a competitor driving out of the market from another industry, but that happens. I mean, so the question I'm asking us is: do we think any role, any job that we do is safe for the next till we till we retire? For instance, is there any role that your tech role, for instance, or whatever roles that you're doing? Is anybody safe?
Yeah. Again, my view is that they're setting certain jobs with higher roles, with higher job security. So, for example, roles that involve educational roles, for example, teaching, because again, we know in this country, education is composed from 0 to 16. Okay. So we know that roles like that are pretty much safe. That you would always be in need of teachers, for example, in terms of the health sector as well, carers. As long as we have the disabled, we have the vulnerable children being looked out for by the social services. There would pretty much always be opportunity in that side of things, and so there are definitely roles that have higher job security. Again, because nothing is 100% guaranteed in this world, we know that. But that said, roles like education and education, health are pretty much more secure than
I think that
a lot of other areas.
education. I've met someone recently that is already working on an app where he's going to be selling. He's a teacher via the computer. People are subscribing, So and as an advert, I got someone saying I can teach physics for £5 an hour. For instance, I can teach physics. That this person has first class in physics. I think I don't know, but people are with AI, with technology, with everything. Competition is coming from almost everywhere.
Yeah, that's it, because really the education is being run by the government, isn't it? And I feel that with that, there will still be suffocation. I don't see the government tomorrow replacing classroom teachers with AI, for example. I don't see that, not anytime soon. Maybe 40, 50 years from now.
We never can tell.
But not
when COVID showed up, things changed a bit, didn't it?
Yeah, that was COVID.
Exactly.
So what I want to add to it is, I think there are roles that requires a human face.
Yes.
That will still require it.
That would definitely
whatever
still,
happens.
But that, irrespective of that, what that human face needs to do is always keep getting better and keep being up to date. True. What I mean by that is, we had that conversation yesterday. Let me use also this example. We had an interesting conversation yesterday. There are some roles that has to do with things like compliance, where you would need a human face. You cannot automate compliance. Otherwise, people will keep, for example, you want people in the company to be compliant, say IT compliant, safeguarding compliant, and all the likes. You cannot automate those kind of roles.
Maybe not fully. You can
you would use automation too.
Exactly.
The individual will use the automation
so
too.
If you had 4 human beings there,
so if you have 4, you can, that's now the thing.
Exactly.
So it's now a thing of getting better at what you do. The other example is, there was one time it was typewriting. Everybody was all about, I can use typewriter, secretaries and all the likes.
No, before then there was shorthand.
Oh yeah, true. There was shorthand.
Generations before was actually we're learning, and they wasted our time.
Yeah.
So my time teaching me shorthand in business studies class in
Same
JSS
here.
1.
Yeah, same here as well. Same here, I remember.
I can't remember anything again.
Why?
Long key, long
Why?
We all try to learn it just to pass with.
But you see, it's not relevant anymore.
So that's the thing. As it kept going, people kept learning new skills as we kept going, and people kept learning new skills. Interestingly, recently I was reading about even with football, there's now a lot of analytics in football. If I hit the ball at this point, this is where I'm expecting it to go. Because we now have tools that can give us that 3D mapping of how, when I hit the ball this way, this is how it will go, and all the lines.
These things that
So,
maps,
and all the likes. So again, it doesn't take away the human person that kicks the ball and hold the likes, but the analytics does help the person to understand what he needs to do on the pitch.
The analytics can reveal the fact that some people are not needed.
Not on the pitch.
Maybe not on the pitch, but in certain things. Now.
So when we introduced VAR, to football. When it were introduced, people thought, oh, there will not be need for it. But even with the VAR,
Yeah.
there are still a
there's
lot
still
of
much more.
controversy.
It's a lot of controversy. Yeah, that's another topic on its own now.
So I think anyway, like we've all said, I think it's about maintaining relevance. We need to maintain relevance at every point in time because change is constant, right? So whatever industry you are, there's always going to be an opportunity to grow. So you need
grow
to
in that one
yeah,
or
to
in
grow,
another one.
to grow in that your
In
field.
that one.
And it's going to be necessary for us to be able to bring ourselves up to speed with whatever changes there are so that we remain relevant. If it is in that field, yes. But if we want to now transition, like we had spoken previously, that okay, fine, to another industry, then of course we need to bridge the knowledge gap. However, for every field, it's going to be important for us to bring ourselves up to speed with whatever level of change comes in that industry. And change is always going to come in every industry. But with them, we always have to be relevant. If it's knowledge that we have to get or build, then we have to get it. Whatever skills that we need to get these skills. But we need to always remain relevant because I think someone said something. Okay, fine. 10 people apply for a job. 1 person is picked. Something must have separated that person from the others. So something always has to separate us from every other person. We always have to come to a point whereby, yes, we are always there. Like, whatever technology comes, if a technology comes, we get knowledgeable about it. Whatever comes in that field that we are in, we need to always build capacity.
I want to add that sometimes it gets dicey with this thing, but just to put it that difference that you need if you have 10 people applying doesn't necessarily have to be the new tech. Sometimes it can be that old technology being done in an efficient way. And this is what I mean. People joke a lot with what Excel can do. Because we have new tools that, the fancy ones. They don't try to get better in using
that Excel
using
itself.
Microsoft Excel. I'm
You
just
want to
using
jump
you
to
just want to
Power
jump
BI.
to the Power BI, the tableau. It's okay if you're as a data analyst to learn the other ones, but even that old one, can you be grounded that if a company because sometimes when push comes to shove where things are not working, they might revert to that old tool,
Trusted one.
that trusted one, and you are the one with that skill. So it's also that you are grounded in those older tools, not so much archaic, but they're still relevant and they're still being industry valued. So I think that's also one thing to note.
Brilliant. I think that is a good place for us to wrap it up. You guys have spoken like philosophers, have spoken like academic scholars and all of that, but interestingly, I've gained a few things. One is that I can't be afraid. Right? You shouldn't allow fear kill that dream. Right? I mean, fear of tomorrow is really a big deal. But from what you've said now, we can't allow fear kill that dream. We have to stay updated, remain updated, because nobody can say tomorrow is guaranteed. Right? There's this scripture that I have in James 4:13 that is telling us that tomorrow is not guaranteed. If I can read for you, it says, "Now listen, you who say today or tomorrow we will go to this or that city, we'll spend a year there, carry on business and make money. Why you do not even know what will happen tomorrow? What is your life? You are a mist that appears for a little while and then vanishes. Instead, you ought to say, if it's the Lord's will, we will live and do this or that. As it is, you boast in your arrogant schemes. All such boasting is evil." That's James 4:13-16. I've just read. It's not in your usual King James version anyway. So, but that's what it says. So in the end, it's the NIV. So in the end, tomorrow is not guaranteed. We need to stay updated. We should not allow fear kill our dreams. Right? What again? I think I said again. Starting again is not bad at all. I mean, if you have to start again, just count your costs. And make sure you are making the right decision. It's the best for you to get God involved in the starting all over again, whether a change of career, change of country, or whatever, but not change of marriage. Did I hear an amen? Yeah. Yeah, but it's best to have God involved in it, and because we are children of God anyway. But if you are
We
secular,
also said not to be primarily motivated by money, that should be a factor,
Yeah,
but not the
no
only
money,
factor.
no money. I
There
think
are a lot of other relevant factors, progression and the likes.
Yeah, I think another bigger than money is even staying relevant
Mhm.
because if you are just jumping for money and the industry collapses and
Mhm.
nobody's thriving there,
Mhm.
the person is is stuck there. So it's been really interesting. It's not been for too long, but it's been really packed, and it's my pleasure once again to thank you very much for Ijon Ayeni for joining us on this one. Thank you very much for your invaluable experiences and insights always. Thank you very much, Nathaniel Odelabi, the one of our newcomers, first time here. Hope you didn't find it too. It was really. Oh, right. Great. Thank you very much. He says he knows one thing or the other about every sport.
Sure.
We'll test that in another episode. I'll come with the harder question for him. Thank you very much for your presence and your invaluable contributions. And thank you, Mr. Iretunde Olukoya. Oh, yeah. We've enjoyed your company as well, too.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. But I'm hoping that when we call on you next time, you'll be happy to jump at us and grace us with your presence.
Indeed.
My name is Benga Ogunleye. Thank you very much for your time. We signing out now. Bye-bye. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. We appreciate you joining us today. We hope you have learned something and have been blessed. Don't forget to visit us if you are in the Birmingham area in the UK at 5 Matching Road, Eddington, B236DR. And follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and on YouTube. Search Foursquare Gospel Church Birmingham on your search engine and you will find us. If you are not around us, please find a Bible-believing church and connect with God. Remember, we would love to hear from you. Send us a DM on our Instagram page at trf.podcast. Have a wonderful rest of the week. God bless you.